All right, traders. Good morning, good day. Welcome back to the live room. Happy Thursday to everyone. Hope you are doing good. Hope your week has been well. Thank you, as always, for joining live room members. This is the New York Live Trading Room. We do this every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday here on the platform for a few hours each day, walking you through all of the trading ideas that are on my radar for the day to come. And of course, having some very interesting discussions. We've been on a roll this week. Two of our discussions, we had our normal Q&A session on Monday. Then we took a section from Tuesday's live trading room, which became a bonus Q&A. Took a section from Wednesday's live trading room, I believe, as well, became a bonus Q&A, or at least one of them. We had two very good conversations. Yesterday's became a better Q&A, but really, really good trading strategy type discussions, which I've been happy about. So we have lots of those conversations as well. And of course, for you guys watching on YouTube and TradingView, we come in each and every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, walk you through the first trade that we look at. So I call it the top trading idea on my radar, and let you guys kind of jump into the discussion. Interesting fact, I was talking to a trader yesterday. I don't always choose what I think is the best trading idea, but the best discussion topic, because some of the best trading ideas are pretty straightforward. I would come in a couple seconds and be like, hey, we're at previous structure support, wait for double top, sell, boom, that's it. But I like generating discussion because the discussion is what really allows us to learn. Learning is what allows us to progress. And progressing is what we need to do to become consistently profitable traders or remain consistently profitable traders. Today is our news day, right? We've had a pretty dull news week leading up into today. Today is the big firework day with the big news coming out being CPI for the dollar at 8.30, right? Inflation is an issue, so this is a major news event. However, I don't think that it's going to have as much oomph as I did if you would have asked me yesterday, right? So we had a really good conversation on news as well the other day about avoiding news events and whatnot. And even last week on the Trader Coffee Break, we talked kind of about buy the rumor, sell the news, all that fun stuff. And here's what's important to understand about news and its effect on the market, right? The biggest moves in the market, I'll ask you guys this question. When do the biggest moves in the market occur? Is it when a news event has a large number, or is it when it has an unexpected number? I guess a large or a small number, depending on what type of news event it is and what type of situation it is. Or is it when it's unexpected, right? It's unexpected, right? Markets move off of the deviation of news, right? So again, CPI is a great example, right? We are expecting, we are expecting numbers that relate to our highest level of inflation, ever, or since like 1980s or something like that. So our highest number since 1980s, something like that. So therefore, what do you think the market is prepared for, right? It's all over the news. You can read about it anywhere. Do you think the market is preparing for this high number, or is it prepared for something else? It is prepared for this high number, right? So everyone that has positioned themselves beforehand in anticipation of this high number, right? So the massive news event or the massive impact on the markets would come if there is some sort of miss, if there is a even higher number than expected or a very low number, right? That's when the markets kind of turn into panic mode. It's like, oh crap, we were wrong. I'm on the wrong side of things. Let's kind of reverse. And what interesting is what happened yesterday, and I forgot who said it. One of the Fed people. I'm not familiar with all of them because I'm not a fundamental genius. I just know enough to know what I need to pay attention to in the market. But one of the anticipations is this, right? If we get a large number, the result will be that perhaps there's an increase in the rate hike that is coming in March. Perhaps instead of a 25 basis point, right, going to be a hike of the already kind of expected interest rate hike that we're expecting in March. Does that make sense, guys? It's not going to go from 25 to 50. They're not looking at this number and they're not going to panic off it. It kind of is what it is, at least for the first hike. And I think that's going to dull down the news quite a bit because, again, that reaction is what the market is banking on, especially with this news, kind of anticipating that. With that kind of being poo-pooed yesterday before the announcement, I don't think we're going to see as much as of an impact as you think, or much as a lasting impact, I should say. Now, the cool thing, or maybe not the cool thing, but the interesting thing about the markets is that news, high impact news, is a very easy distraction for, again, manipulation to happen. And I don't say, if you've been with us for a while, when I say manipulation, I don't necessarily mean it in a negative way. I just mean it as the way that things are. But it's a very easy distraction for manipulation to happen. So if someone wants to move the market, there is no better kind of curtain to do it behind than a high impact news event, right? Because you can do it and get away with it with no one being the wiser. Am I correct here? It's like the magicians and their distractions, right? Fireworks and doves and smoke and dancing girls come off on the left. Sleight of hand happening on the right. None the wiser. So we could still see movement in the market. Again, I don't know, right? I don't know. If I knew, I'd have all my money on the side in which I knew it was going. But I don't think it will be anything lasting or anything massive and lasting. But we'll wait and see. And again, our job is, I'm a technical trader. We're technical traders here for the most part. We're not fundamental experts. I'm not a fundamental expert, so I'm not here to predict what the reaction is. I'm not here to predict what the news is going to be. But as a trader over the years, after I kind of got my feet settled in technical analysis, I did find it valuable to kind of have a better understanding of news, understand how it works, and understand which events to kind of be aware of, either for home run trades or to maybe avoid trading situations. And this leading up to today, this was one of them. So let's hop into our trade of the day. We're going to go to Aussie Canada. And this is going to be an interesting one. I need to put up Trading View. Sorry. This is an interesting one because it is a trade, and we were discussing this on the platform this morning with a few people. It's a trade that I wanted to be in on one time frame, excuse me, but I couldn't for certain reasons. And then I went down to another time frame and wanted to be in it, but then again, I think it's a good example of how we may want to be in a trade. We may believe a certain thing, feel a certain thing, going off our conversation from yesterday. But at the end of the day, we have to follow rules and understanding that sometimes there are going to be very good trading setups that just don't work, right? We know we need three things we need to evaluate before we ever get into a trade. What are the three things we need? Who remembers? I haven't done this in a while. Entries, stops, and targets, right? Everything has to align. We have to have our trading opportunity. We have to have our targets and our stops. We have to know that so we know our risk reward profile, and we need our specific entry. So let's talk about Aussie Canada here. So Aussie Canada, IPDE, identify, predict, decide, execute. You can see, I'm on a daily here, by the way, we are coming up to a previous level of structure resistance. Again, if you're over on your Ninja Trader charts, you've got a big old VS1 level there as well, right? We're at a previous level of structure resistance. So this is going to be a decision point, right? How the market reacts at this level is going to determine what the future of this price movement is, right? If we can hold this level, a hold of resistance, right? We're likely to see a little bit of a retracement lower. If we can break this level, violate this level, I should say, we are likely to see a continuation higher. By the way, if you're watching over on YouTube, see a bunch of you over there, do me a favor, hit that like button. I would like to see the same amount of likes as people that are watching. That would be awesome. It's the least you can do. So this is going to be a decision point. So when I see this in the market, I already kind of analyze both directions. I say, hey, if I want to get short, where do I want to get short to? And I start identifying key levels of structure, right? This is the whole pre-market checklist type of deal. If I want to get long, where do I want to get long to? And let's go down to our 4-hour right here. Do I trade indices as well? I invest in them. I don't personally trade them. I analyze them. here. We'll analyze them here in a live room from time to time. I wouldn't say I trade them. I invest in them. So I have exposure to indices, but I don't trade them like when I think of trading is more like short term, right? Investing is long term. So I have long term influence in not influence. I have long term investments in indices, but I'm not excuse me, looking to get in, day to day, long and short stuff like that. So we go down to the 4 hour. Very good question. We go down to the 4 hour, and what do you see here, guys? On the 4 hour, again, this is our previous level of structure. Looking left, structure leaves clues. What do we completed double top? Which is actually a problem. I would have loved it if it was a potential double top, and I will tell you why. Yeah, sure. Yep. Although check your data, I would say this, right? So what are our rules for double top, right? The second top needs to do what? Yeah, see? Yep. And this is actually a negative for me, right? So we can draw out our zone here. I'll draw it off with a little box thing. And we'll take the zone highest close, highest high, right? Tickle the highest close, can't close above the highest high. This is our zone, right? I would love it if this were the potential candle, and if I were waiting for the next hour and 50 minutes for this complete. However, technically this pad, the double top completed right here. And why this is a problem is going to be risk reward, right? We talked about three things: entries, stops, and targets, right? So we're looking at this right here, entry, right? So let's talk about stops, because stops are typically the easiest, right? Where do you need to put stops, or where would you put stops in this case? And I say stops are typically the easiest because typically you have your rule doesn't really change for stops, right? With targets, you can have very black and white rules for targets, going off our conversation yesterday, where it's like I always take it at a 3D2 or I always take it at this. But if you're going to do things like structure, if you're going to do things like think like the other trader, projecting your targets is going to take more analysis than projecting stops. So for stops, I use ATR, and I don't know if the ATR person's in here. We had a person a couple weeks ago asking about ATRs, but I use ATRs for stop, right? So our ATR at the time, no, there we go. Sorry, zoom back in. Why do I still have my news thing up? Get out of here, news. I meant to have my, I don't have my notes up. I got to do that once we get past this first pair. Anyway, so ATR is looking at 20, right? So let's take our high right here. Yup. 91.26 plus 20 is going to be 46. So stop loss right there for using one ATR. For using two ATR, fine. I don't think there's a reason to use two ATR. We're above previous structure, which is where we want to be. So I think that's fine. But of course, you can make it any multiple of ATR you want. Half ATR, 3/4 ATR, 1.5 ATR, 1.25 ATR. No ATR, zero. It doesn't really matter, right? Part two, and I'll get to your question in a little bit, Greg. Targets. So we got stops, we got targets, right? We need all three to kind of see our risk profile. How long do I usually hold a position? Typically a few hours to a few days is my normal position. I'm a swing trader, so most of my entries come off 4 hour and hourly charts. So either a few hours to a few days. Every once in a while, if I'm taking like a bigger trade, right? Sometimes there are some big like continuation setups, and I may be in them for weeks. Usually the longer I'm in the trade, the better, because that means it's going in my direction, and I'm actively trailing stops, and I'm just hoping it keeps going up. So if I'm in a trade for a long time, usually it's a good sign. Sometimes I just get caught in consolidation. Like you'll see that over the summer a lot, where it's like you take a trade and the markets are just like dead in the summer, and you're just in it and churning. And I hate that because you get that rollover cost. Unless it's working in your favor and it can benefit you. But yeah, typically hours, a few hours to a few days, is when I'm involved in trades. Yeah. So yeah, targets. Hit me with some targets. Rain says as long as it takes. That was going to be my normal answer, but I didn't want to seem like a jackass, Rain, because it wouldn't actually answer the question. I knew what the trader meant. How long do you hold trades? Until I'm stopped out or until targets are hit. But that doesn't answer the question, but I get you. I'm trying to be nicer. Greg says 9067. Let's draw some lines out here. 9067s. 9067, right down there. Any other ideas? YouTube Trading View, feel free to chime in. I know there's a little bit of a delay here, but don't be shy. Or she says 9050-ish. 9050s, right down here. Rain says 9088s. We're on the same page here, Rain. Oh, I'm not actually drawing anything. There we go. 9088s around here. There we go. So, and I got 9077. So this is what you want to do. You have your entries, you know your targets, you know your stops. Obviously, you want to do this before the trade happens, right? And I just, there we go. And now you want to measure out if the risk profile makes sense. So if you're someone that is shooting for down here, 9050s, right? Does this risk profile make sense? Haven't done this in a while. Let me get my throat lubricated. Hell yeah, right? Yeah, it makes sense. 1.7, basically 1.8 to 1. If you're someone shooting for this level up here, this was 9067s. Does this risk reward make sense? Hell yeah, right? If you're someone that is shooting for up here, does this risk reward make sense? Nope. 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 Right? So in this particular situation, right, my projected target line was actually this high, right? And I'll tell you why. So my initial target line was right here, this first green line. I'll go ahead and erase the other two, right? This was the previous shoulder, or the neckline of the head and shoulders. This is the first level of structure that I thought we would come to, right? Now, here's part of being smart, right? This in itself doesn't give me a good risk reward in the first place, but is it worth having targets right here when you have structure right above it? In general, no, right? If it's that close, you want to adjust to it. It just doesn't make sense to add that risk, extra risk for that little bit of reward. So for me, the trading opportunity didn't make sense because I couldn't have a risk reward. However, I thought about dropping to the lower time frame, right? Because this is also, you can see this as a double top on the lower time frame. It doesn't hit any of the 382 violation requirements that I have. However, the problem with the problem with the hourly time frame, right? Me and Rain spoke about this morning, right? Didn't have divergence, didn't have RSI overbought. So it was a strikeout on both time frames for me as far as being able to take a trade. And this is a trade I wanted to be in. Now it's not all done, right? I still have one more chance. If we get a small double top up here, that is tradable for me. So that is what I'm hanging on to for a potential opportunity. But I thought it was a great example. And I have another trading opportunity here for you as well. So don't leave yet. I thought it was a good example of sometimes where you want something to happen. You like a trade setup. I really enjoy this trade setup. It just doesn't meet the requirements. And that is the reality of trading. It just poo-poos on you. Real quick question on TradingView. Can we do gold next? Yes and no. And unfortunately here, what we do here with the live stream is I only show you one trading opportunity for the day. So this is going to be it. If you want to hang out for a full session with us, head over to www.tier1trading.com. Take that 14-day trial, hop in with us, and we can do 2 hours of analysis, and we'll certainly look at gold. But we keep it to one pair here for the daily live stream, unfortunately. Real quick, I got 90/90s for a target as well on the 60. Yeah. So yeah, and the 60 is what I went to trying to get a better entry. That was a really good Rebel Trading on TradingView said this, right? Much better entry here on the 60. Now the difference is, look at this. The 60, right? Where was the double top was valid right here on the 4 hour. This point right here. On the 60, look what happens, right? The double top is technically valid on this candle. Risk is also shortened, right? Our ATR is different. It's essentially cut in half from 20 to 10. So it's 91.37s. Right down here, we got Rebel Trading on TradingView saying, hey, I'm looking for this same level, 90/90s, all of a sudden, you've got a fantastic risk reward there. This is what I wanted to happen. But I just didn't have the requirements with the RSI. But do you guys see the difference between that higher time frame and that lower time frame? Those adjustments? And this is going to fall into your category, Greg. Yesterday, I know we were talking about having flexibility to maybe trade multiple time frames. This would be an example of, hey, your 4 hour didn't work, but you're allowed to go down to the hourly and still look for opportunities. But it still has to meet its rules, and that's what made me want to share this idea with you, because it's not that, hey, it was a valid double top on the 4 hour per what I need for it, but I couldn't get the risk reward, so now I just go down to the hourly and enter because it's a better risk reward. It still has to meet the specific requirements on the hourly as well, right? Does that make sense, guys? You can't just jump from time frame to time frame and be like, oh, it was valid on the daily, so I'll just take it on the hourly because the risk reward's smaller, right? Whatever you see on the hourly still has to fit into your rules. You can't just use it as an excuse. And I've seen so many traders do that, where it's like they see something on the daily and they're like, here's the worst. Let me give you an example real quick. What is Aussie Swiss just completed a Gartley? We're going to go over real quick to, I think it was Aussie Swiss, right? So Aussie Swiss real quick, right? This is the absolute worst. This was going to go in my book of the 50 dumbest trading things I've seen in my life. But then again, I didn't want to offend anybody. So we got a Gartley here on the Aussie Swiss daily, right? And let's just say our stop loss is up here above X. And I'm going to get to your questions. Later. Just hang on real quick. So I've had a trader before that didn't want to stop loss like this. So they entered the Gartley on the hourly or the daily, but then went down to the hourly for their ATR stop, so they can have a stop loss like this, but still wanted the same targets. And I'm like, no, don't do that. No. But it was just that excuse. They wanted to take the trade so bad that they were willing to do whatever was needed to make it work. And again, I say it all the time, right? If you want something bad enough in trading, you'll find a way to make it work. That's why we talk about system or time frame hopping. Like if you want to see something bad enough, I used to do this all the time with confirmation bias. I listened to CNBC and all that fun stuff, and they would convince me that I had to sell the euro dollar, right? So I would go on a chart, and the euro dollar could be bullish on every single chart, but I would just keep looking until I found some bearish reason. I'd end up on like the 5-second chart and be like, oh yeah, RSI just went overbought on the 5-second reversal, baby. Let's go. And like, just because I want it to happen. You got to be careful of that. Real quick, Mikkel says, could you use further target if the cipher on the daily is still valid? Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could take the cipher as I can't personally, right? Because I don't see any reason to assume that price is going to go there. But yeah, the entry point for a cipher could be looked at as a target level as well. The question is, again, are you, and I'll draw it in real quick. The question is, right, are you taking a target level at the entry level of a cipher because it allows you to have a good risk reward to be in the trade? Or do you actually believe that price is going to go to this level? I see nothing to make us believe that price is going to go here. So that's why I wouldn't be interested in taking it. So we just have to be aware of that. And it's going to be on a trader per trader perspective. I can't tell you what your predictions are, but you got to be honest with yourself. For me, it would be no. Like I don't see any reason to think that price is going to complete that cipher. Doesn't mean the cipher won't complete, but I see no reason to believe that price is going to go there. So I wouldn't be comfortable putting a stop or a target there, But if you are, then yeah, you can certainly use targets for other setups or entries for other setups as targets for original setups. All right, there's a few questions here that I missed. This is probably going to be you guys are going to get a bonus, you guys here on YouTube and TradingView. I think it was Roberto's, and I saw one from Greg. Greg says a long time ago, Coach, let me ask this. What if you come late to the pair, you realize the double top was completed, but the new candle is there? Could you enter still and keep the same stop you would have for the previous candle? You're going to say yes if it's in your rules, aren't you? No, I'm not. But you need to wait for the candle close. So the question is, right? The risk reward for the double top didn't make sense for me, right? The risk reward for the double top didn't make sense. But let's say I came in late. Can I just enter at market here? And the answer is no, right? You can't because it wasn't a valid trade setup for you. Well, obviously, if you have it in your rules, you can. But you want to wait, in my opinion, you want to wait for this candle to close, because if this candle closes above the first top, then we no longer have a double top, and now you're involved in an invalid trade. So you can wait for another candle to get a better entry. I would wait for the close in the case of like a double top. But if you can't enter at market. The only way I would enter at market without waiting for a close is if it was a trade you were supposed to be in, like everything was risk reward and all the rules were met, and let's just say it happened a few hours before you're awake or you're away from your computer. So it's a difference between a missed trade that was valid versus a trade that didn't meet your rules. This is categorized as one that didn't meet the rules because the risk reward was off. So that's a good question. Roberto says, what I'm implementing, coach, for targets is you draw the volume profile of the consolidation zone, and my target will be a few pips above. Nice. Yeah. So we're taking the volume profile, bring this bad boy on, and we're going to take it from our swing low to our swing high right here. And again, you're looking for the zone that has the highest volume, and that's going to be this lovely little red line right there. Yep. Nothing wrong with doing that at all, Roberto. Nothing wrong. And maybe you don't have to necessarily take the highest point, but the zones that have kind of, I don't know the fancy word for it, the zones that have a higher volume than the norm, right? So you can see this section right here, and this is, no surprise, this is consolidation session, as we always talk about, a lot more average volume than up here or down here. So maybe you default targets to this zone, and again, you can go in and dial in on it with Fibonacci's and whatnot, right? Take your Fibonacci extension tool, swing low to swing high, right? Maybe take another one from this intermediate move right here and say, hey, I got 3D2 and 618 lining up right here, or I got 50% lining up right there, whatever your cup of tea is. But yeah, you can certainly do that. Yep, nothing wrong with that at all. Again, we talked about, using this tool as a way to, if you're confused about what zones are important, this can kind of be the decision maker for you. Kind of lost in the questions here, so I'm scrolling back. I can just imagine the live stream people who just joined us in the live room got their F9. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. It's not as confusing as it may seem. Trust me, it's a lot of fancy words. Greg says, Coach, still not understanding why entering on a next candle isn't a good idea. Why wouldn't that be a good rule to enter? Did I answer that already for you, Greg? I think I did. I'm finally caught up with the questions here. Let me know if I entered. Okay, perfect. I did. And Roberto says he's only looking for the consolidation. So hold on, say that again, Roberto. Only for the consolidation zone. So you're only taking the volume profile of this consolidation zone, not the whole swing. Love the chart you sent yesterday, by the way. Yeah, if you guys are just joining on TradingView again, I mentioned this earlier, but what we do here is just one trading idea of the day. So we're not going to go through the whole list. What you're getting is basically a peek into my live trading room where we run this from 7:30 to 9:30 every day, and we look at a handful of ideas. Here on live stream, however, we're just sharing one. So be happy with the one, and hopefully you learn from that. And if you want to see more, just hop into the real live room and stay for the entire time. Nothing is stopping you from doing that. All right. So let's talk about the other trading idea here, right? We talked about this being a decision point. We talked about the bearish idea, right? The bullish idea. If we violate this level, and again, on NinjaTrader, you're going to see a beautiful VS1 level. If we violate this level, this is also going to offer an opportunity to the upside, right? So again, depending on what type of trader you are, you could be looking at one, the other, or both, where you can be seeing this zone, this decision point, and saying, if we violate this level, then we're likely to continue higher. You can look for a pullback trade. And again, pullback trade can be to here. This is going to be your safest zone, this previous structure low, or a test of these highs right there. So all depending on how price action acts at this level will set up your potential trading opportunity. Could be a potential bearish one, could be a potential bullish one. Now you're just waiting for the market to show its hand. Any questions before we move on to our next pair? Live streamers, before I boot you out. I'll give you a few. What about gold? You guys are not listening to what I've been saying. Have you been listening to what I've been saying about you get one trading idea for the day, my top trading idea for the day? We're not going to go through a million pairs here, guys. If you want to hang out for the full session, you can come over to the website, sign up, and hop in, right? But for the live stream, one trading idea for the day. So I appreciate you sharing the ideas, and we can look at gold next. But for the live stream, we're keeping it to one a day. So I apologize if that's mean. It's not mean. So I apologize if it seems mean. But top trading idea for the day, one trading idea here. That's what you get. So please stop asking, what about gold next? Or what about this? What about that? How much money do I have? Not enough. That was the answer. If you asked me that question 10 years ago, I gave you the exact same answer. If you ask me that question 10 years from now, I will give you the exact same answer. My answer will always be not enough. I always believe you can make more. I'm not a fan of I have made enough money. You can always make more. Well, isn't that greedy, Akil? No, right? Because the more you make, the more you can give. If you're into giving. If you're not into giving, then the more you can spend. I am personally into giving. The more I make, the more I give. The more I give, the more I can help. The more I can help, the better impact I have on everyone in life. So more or not enough. That's my answer. I don't. What type of question is that? The other question I get, here's another one too. Hope you get enough. I will never get enough. No, I will never get enough. That's the point. There's no settle. I don't believe in settling. I don't believe in maybe it's my athletic background. I don't believe you should ever settle. I don't believe you should ever get to a point where it's like, hey, I'm good enough, right? Or I've made enough, right? Because if sports has taught me anything, right, it's that there is always someone that wants your spot. There is always a new person that comes on the team, that comes on the bench, that is extremely hungry, and they want what you have, right? If you are I was a starting wide receiver. There is a new wide receiver that was just recruited, just drafted, and he is training as hard as he can so he can get a spot. And there's only a certain amount of spots available. So if he's going to get a spot, someone has to lose a spot. And my philosophy in life is like, you're damn sure not taking my spot. So I will never let off the gas. And the same thing with trading. My biggest fear in trading is that I can lose the skill and be bad at any second, right? When early on in my trading career, right, I heard this devastating story. We were at a mastermind meeting out in Kansas, right? It was after a delicious meal where we were all lethargic. But it was a lady, and I forgot the details because it was so long ago. But essentially, she was trading for like 5 years. She was an extremely good trader. She built her account from like $10,000 to $50,000, right? Incredible. And I'm like, yeah, good job, and blah, blah. And then she finished her story, and her story ended with she lost it all. Like, I don't remember how it happened, but she went all the way backwards. It's like she malfunctioned. And that was the reality check, because I had just gotten good over a couple of years before that. And, you start getting a little comfortable. It's like, oh, I'm good. I'm going to run on autopilot. And to hear that story where she was like, I was really, really good for 5 years and then gave it all back, scared the crap out of me. Because it reinforced the idea that you can't settle, that as soon as you let off the gas, someone else is going to pass you. As soon as you stop working on your skill of trading, the markets are going to pass you. We know that the markets are always changing. I tell you guys straight up, if I were trading strictly the way I was trading 10 years ago, I wouldn't be profitable right now. Maybe I'd be a little bit profitable, maybe break even, but you have to adjust. You have to learn. You have to adapt, right? If you're not doing that, you're going to get left behind. And I know you guys know traders who have been left behind because they've gotten cocky. They start sleeping in late. They start slacking on their pre-market analysis, right? They're not paying attention to trades the way they should be. And the market slowly chips away at their profit, right? That's scary. Like maybe not to you guys, but like this is my life. Like I don't have a 9 to 5. Like this is it. Like this is how I make money. Like if this is gone, what do I have? Like what are my other skills? I used to be a good dancer before the ACL injuries. Now I can't do that. So I can't even, dance on the street corner for money. I'm not really good with impressions. My math ain't great. I guess I could DJ, but you don't need a DJ anymore. Everyone can DJ. So there's always this urgency and this fear, to be honest with you, this fear of that someone can always take my spot. And I'm not going to let that happen. Oh no. Never, ever, ever, ever. See, the difference between sports is sports, I can get old. I can lose a step just because of not genetics, but age, right? You can't beat Father Time unless you're Tom Brady, right? In sports, you get old. So you're always outrunning Father Time and you're eventually going to get caught. Trading, man, it's there's none of that. I can get better until I die. I guess if my vision goes, that'd be a problem. But aside from that, aside from vision, arthritis and carpal tunnel, I can still delegate to my kids. But anyway, I can continue to get better. So I would encourage you guys, next time someone asks you the question, how much money do you have or how successful are you? Your response should be not enough money, not successful enough. Keep that mindset. That's what's going to allow you to be successful in the future. Keep that mindset. Do you still show your equity curve? Yeah, I did it, 2 videos ago? Gamblinator. Awesome name. I think 2, whatever, right after January. Whatever Trading Edge video I put up there. And nice. Thanks for being a follower since 2016, 2017. Those were the trade empowered years. Gave up, went to gambling. Now I want to come back. It's hard. Yeah, but hopefully you learned a good lesson the first time through, and that motivates you. Typically, we don't make any lasting change until we experience a lot of pain, because we never want to experience that pain again. And that's what encourages us. Billy says, trial gets you 2 live rooms 3 times a week in a great course just for $1. Awesome. All right. Thank you guys for joining on TradingView and YouTube. Sorry to take you on that rant, but that is, this is a look inside a live room, and that's what you get. You get Rantaclaus every once in a while here. I'll see you guys for the weekend Trading Edge, either Saturday or Sunday, depending on what time I get back. Friday night from New York City, or Saturday morning from New York City, depending on what type of day it is. But appreciate you guys joining. Hit that like button before you go, and leave comments if you have any questions. I do read through them and I can answer them for you.